Previously on Ready to Die.
The problem is Fani Willis is horrifically incompetent.
Fulton County District Attorney's Office is moving on after failing to get convictions on most of the charges in the YSL case. DA Fani Willis, who just won re-election a month ago, is keeping quiet about how that case turned out. Well, 11 Alive's Doug Richards joining us live at the courthouse. Doug, do these acquittals affect how effective the DA is going forward?
Well, certainly there is a large backlog that the DA's office is handling right now, and they really can't afford to look back at YSL too much. But the question that's reasonable to ask is whether the effect of what happened during the YSL cases, some of the lingering effects could potentially also leach into some of these upcoming cases.
This isn't the first DA's office that's lost a high-profile case. It happens, but it's the way that you lose.
Former DeKalb District Attorney Robert James says this week's YSL verdict may have a lasting sting for the Fulton County DA's office.
The criticism and the scolding by the judge for withholding vital information, that's not good, right?
Fulton prosecutors did get a guilty plea from YSL's highest profile defendant, the rapper known as Young Thug. And last month, DA Fani Willis easily won re-election.
Where are you, Ms. Willis?
In April, Willis didn't show up to debate a Democratic primary challenger at the Atlanta Press Club. Christian Y. Smith, a former prosecutor, was mildly critical of her case against YSL.
Do you think RICO is overused, as we often hear from some defense attorneys?
Absolutely.
Yet Willis prevailed easily in the primary against Y. Smith and the November election. Each week, hundreds of Fulton County residents report to the courthouse to serve on grand juries and as courtroom jurors. Many are now familiar with Willis's high-profile prosecutions of YSL and the DA's ongoing election interference case against former President Donald Trump, including Willis's personal relationship with a well-paid contractor who had handled the Trump case.
During voir dire or questioning of the jurors, if they don't bring up all of this stuff.
James thinks at least some of those potential jurors will have those cases in the back of their minds when prosecutors are trying to get them to serve on future jury panels.
And the fact that it's difficult for them to be fair to the state.
Now, I've been told that the DA's office is expected to continue to pursue RICO cases regardless of the outcomes of the YSL case, and that they will not be daunted by any setbacks in that or any in the Trump case.
That everyone charged in this bill of indictment is presumed innocent. Specifically, the indictment brings felony charges against Donald John Trump.
I am sure I told him what my opinion of it is. Okay. And past that, we had no substantive conversation.
You did not.
Okay. Is there something you didn't understand?
Fani will need more Grey Goose to get through this. Sit back and enjoy the show.
that I was in high school before I knew that the South had lost the Civil War. That with the way everybody talked, that I thought they had won. I wonder how long we will go on with the 2020 election Is that going to last another 150 years where everybody's complaining about something? Let me just reply, and I won't tarry with you long. All of what they have said is the General Assembly can do this. The General Assembly has the authority. Sure they do. But it has to be the General Assembly and not just some one body of the General Assembly. Let's just use a little common sense. Does the General Assembly have the right to issue a subpoena by a proper resolution? They do. If it's signed by the government, it has to have the force and effect of law. You know, the first thing I do when I'm researching something, I go to the title. So you go to Title 45, which deals with subpoenas. And it says, in addition to the power conferred on the Attorney General, the Governor or the General Assembly is authorized to likewise make investigations to issue subpoenas. Not just the Senate or some committee of the Senate. Now, let me, Mr. Belafonte, who's a good lawyer, his daddy was one of our oral surgeons in Cobb County. Good fellow. He was a Democrat, too. He'd slip me a little contribution every once in a while. I don't know what happened to Josh. But in any regard, he's had a tough. What he's trying to say is, well, we can do anything. One body of the General Assembly can act on behalf of the General Assembly. That is not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says the General Assembly shall be composed of a Senate and the House of Representatives. It is not one body. And then he says, well, the Constitution says we can investigate. You can investigate till the cows come home. You just can't subpoena anybody. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason when we pass this statute. There's a reason that we didn't put in the Constitution. They shall investigate and shall have the right to subpoena or compulsory service. There was a reason. And you know what the reason was? Because from time to time, one body of the General Assembly could go crazy.